Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to step inside a really dark, really powerful parable. And what makes it so unique is who's telling the story. We're going to explore a ruined world through the eyes of the very thing that brought it all to an end.
Okay, let's start right there with the story's narrator. It calls itself the Red Spectre. And this one line, this is its entire identity. It doesn't see itself as just an ending, but as something essential, something powerful, the embodiment of a final and necessary no.
So, to really get this story, we have to get inside the Spectre's head. This first act introduces us to its whole philosophy. It is the spirit of negation, and it has a very particular view on humanity's struggle to stay alive. You see, the Spectre isn't just some mindless force of destruction. Nope, it's a philosophical statement. It's a powerful no aimed at a certain way of living. It looks at humanity and sees people just clinging to a fearful, stagnant life, totally focused on avoiding death instead of actually living. The source material calls this mindset a surrender to the spirit of gravity, this idea of a force that just pulls everything ambitious and alive down into the mud. And this slide really lays out the contrast, doesn't it? On one side, you have what the Spectre sneeringly calls the mortal's life. It's all about clinging, avoiding, surrendering. But on the other side, you have its no, which it frames as truth, as a necessity, and even, weirdly enough, as a kind of liberation. It completely flips the script on what life and death are supposed to mean. So that brings us to the setting of this whole parable. You'll see how this central conflict really starts to build. Because the mortals, led by their king, they don't change. Instead, they decide to try and build a fortress against fate itself. 1,000 people. Just think about that. An entire community with one single goal, to seal themselves off from the rest of the world. They actually believe that inside these stone walls, inside this grand abbey, they can build a fortress of denial and just wait for the inevitable to pass them by. And this just captures their state of mind perfectly. The story makes it so clear that this was not some peaceful retreat. It was a pressure cooker of anxiety. You know? The dances were frantic. The laughter was shrill. Every single thing they did was a performance, a desperate show to convince themselves they were safe, that the darkness they'd walled themselves into was actually light. And there it is. That's the crucial point from the Spectre's perspective. Their gilded cage, this magnificent abbey they were so proud of, was just an elaborate tomb. By trying to escape death, they had only ended up choosing the style of their own burial, walling themselves in with their own fear. And it's right at this moment that the philosophical threat, well, it becomes a physical one. The Spectre decides it's time for a visit. It's time to step inside their little prison and be the uninvited, but in its mind, necessary guest. Now, this is a fascinating twist, isn't it? The Spectre doesn't see its arrival as an act of violence at all. It actually frames its purpose as an act of mercy, of liberation. It's come to free them from the exhausting, pointless struggle of pretending, of fighting a war they've already lost. So you see this profound disconnect in how everyone sees this moment. When the Spectre shows up, the partygoers see a monster, a killer, breaking into their safe space. But the Spectre claims it's something else entirely, a mirror, just reflecting their own ignored reality back at them. It's not an intruder, it's the truth of their situation finally taking on a physical form. And its appearance is meant to reinforce this idea. The Spectre's whole getup isn't just for show, it is pure symbolism. That red robe, it's the very mortality they tried to lock outside. And the mask isn't there to hide a face, but to reveal the true face of reality that they've been refusing to look at. And this, right here, brings us to the climax of the story. Because someone has to fight back, right? The strongest, most defiant of them all, a high priest named Salvio Polito, decides he's going to confront this guest of truth. This whole thing is framed as the ultimate showdown. It's not just man versus monster. It is philosophy versus philosophy. Polito's little dagger represents humanity's desperate yes to life, a fragile, fragile attempt to assert his will against what the Spectre is, the calm, certain, all-powerful no of the end. So what happens next is this desperate, almost foolish chase. Polito pursues the Spectre through 6 of the 7 colored rooms in the Abbey. Each room, blue, purple, green, orange, white, violet. It's like he's running through the different stages of a life that is rapidly running out of time.
He is literally running through the spectrum of his own existence, chasing a truth he can never, ever catch.
And the chase ends in that seventh and final room, the black one, with the ebony clock. And when Polito finally corners his enemy, he doesn't find a villain he can stab with his dagger. He doesn't find some creature he can fight and defeat.
He finds a silent, undeniable reality. The abyss. The illusion of his struggle, the fantasy that his yes had any real power, it just shatters. And he falls. Not because he was struck, but from the sheer weight of that truth. He is the last echo of his broken, dying world.
So, with their leader gone, the last bit of their defiance crumbles. And now, the final act of the parable unfolds for everyone else in that abbey. The great performance is finally over. It's at this point in the story that the writing becomes incredibly rhythmic. It uses a lot of repetition to create this sense of a slow, steady, inevitable end. With Palido gone, the rest of the guests, they finally get it. Their frantic, fearful lives just stop. And when their illusions disappeared, so did everything else. The music, the shrill laughter, the desperate dancing, all of it just vanished. The only thing left in that magnificent seven-chambered abbey was absolute, total silence. In that silence, the Red Spectre isn't a guest anymore, it's the ruler. It didn't conquer them with force, but with truth. The fear is gone, the struggle is over, and the kingdom it always represented, a kingdom of stillness and finality, is at last established. And that's how the parable ends. Not with a bang, but with this profound and total stillness. The very forces the mortals tried so hard to deny, darkness, decay, and the Red Spectre, are all that's left. Their dominion is absolute, and the Spectre's point has been made. And so, this dark, philosophical story doesn't just end with the people in the abbey. It turns that mirror away from them and points it directly at us. It leaves us with this final, provocative question to think about in our own lives, with our own frantic dances and our own magnificent tombs.